on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
The time is 6:36 on this Wednesday in your nation's capital. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning routine. Coming up at 7:05, Alec Isaac is running for Congress in Virginia, and he'll make his case to you. 7:35, Congressman Mike Waltz on the MIA SecDef. 8:05, Brent Bozell on the media being pretty bad. And then at 8:35, Patrice Onwuka, our pal and co-host here, is going to give us all she knows about the Biden administration killing the gig economy by doing away with 1099 employees. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Julie Gunlock. And we have a brand new rule now instituted by the Biden administration. They made a big deal out of announcing it yesterday. From now on, cabinet secretaries and other people who are in the chain of command and also part of the succession plan to the presidency, like the Secretary of Defense, for example, whenever they have to go up in for medical procedure in the hospital or ever leaving in any way whatsoever, they got to check in and let people know.
I love how that requires a procedure.
Yes, that's a brand new, groundbreaking. Thank God for Joe Biden saving our Constitution with this brand new, innovative idea. Next thing you know, he'll say it's going to be a rule that you have to tighten down the bolts on an airplane.
And make shoplifting illegal.
Yeah. Joining us right now to analyze this and so much more is Cal Thomas. Good morning, Cal.
Good morning. Nice to be with the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers of Morning Radio.
And of course, that means Julie's better than me because she has to do everything backwards.
Well,
Like
I'm trying to picture you in heels.
Again, Cal, come on. This is just for our private text messages.
Okay, well, I know that you're a fan of RuPaul.
Listen,
Anyway, I
Lloyd
think,
Austin, explain this to me.
It's beyond explanation. I mean, I've never heard of anything like it. I mean, I'm a native Washingtonian. I've grown up with many administrations, and this is just bizarre to me. I mean, the President of the United States didn't know about this, for 3 days, something like that?
Yeah.
His deputy is out of town, supposedly had the flu. I mean, you talk about Keystone Cops. What in the world? Do you think our enemies knew about this? Do you think maybe China and Russia and Iran knew that Lloyd Austin was in the hospital? Look, I understand this can be an embarrassing thing for some people, but we've been through a lot of this before. I mean, there were, you remember Katie Couric was out there with suggestions that you get tested for colon cancer, and Barbara Bush was an advocate, along with Gerald Ford's wife, for breast cancer. These are things all part of the body. These are things people go through. We shouldn't be embarrassed about it. It happens to 1 in 6 African Americans and 1 out of 8 men generally, and this is just a major, major mistake.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, you're right. I afford people their personal dignity and privacy, although the Secretary of Defense did not afford that to members of the military who didn't want the COVID shot.
Good point.
They sort of took a hard line on that. And also, listen, you don't want to deal with public exposure of certain things, then you don't get into the arena to be the Secretary of Defense. There are some things you give up.
Right, you give up certain. That's absolutely. And I mean, once when I was living in Alexandria, I lived very close to Clinton's defense secretary, and he was always being monitored, always had security. Everybody knew where he was at all times. And you do give us certain freedoms, and that's just part of the job.
Oh, and
I just find this bizarre.
Well, and also, I mean, I feel like spare me this excuse that you're. Privacy is on the line here when the media treats every Biden official with kid gloves. It's not like they were going to go digging around on this. They would be very respectful of his. I think that this is clearly a case of him getting caught, and now they're trying to sort of, make it okay. But doesn't this also make you wonder? Peter Doocy asked this great question about if they're going to be secretive about this, if there's this culture of secrecy within the Biden administration, are they being honest with the American public about Biden's health?
Yeah, I think that it's more of a culture of secrecy. It's more of a culture of, I don't know what's going on here. Why do you have to now institute a protocol? Does that mean for the last 3 years, apparently there was no protocol?
Right.
What about the vice president? What about other major cabinet secretaries and people responsible for the security of this country and intelligence people? Do they have no protocols either? I think this needs to be looked into by certainly the Republicans in the House.
Yeah.
What else is being hidden or overlooked or not addressed? Is this
Good
a
point.
one-off, or is it part of a greater problem?
Good point. And it's also a bigger problem for a president who's one of his main appeals to some voters was, competency and grown-ups and the Ivy Leaguers are going to be back in charge and will restore the norms. Well, there's nothing norm about this. Listen, Cal, by this time next week, we will know who will have won the Iowa caucus. What do you make of these last days and also these media appearances, the town halls from DeSantis and Haley? There's now going to be a Trump town hall counter-programming against a one-on-one debate between Haley and DeSantis. Is this much ado about nothing? Will Trump just roll through here, or is there really a race going on?
Well, I think there is a race going on. If you look at these polls, Haley is now ahead of DeSantis. I watched some of DeSantis last night, and I watched Haley the night before. I thought she was extremely good, had a good grasp of the issues, very articulate. I like the red dress, and it looked like something Vanna might wear on Wheel of Fortune. But
that's what I want in a president.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, but I think they're very useful. I think the more that we can hear from presidential candidates, then the voters are better off. So, Trump's doing counter-programming on Fox tonight while Haley and DeSantis go at each other. But I think we've long ago left behind Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment. They spend too much time attacking each other and not enough time attacking the president and his failed policies.
Cal Thomas, we will leave it there. It's always a delight to talk with you. Thank you for joining us.
I know. Same here. Thanks.
By the way, if we're Fred and Ginger, what is that? Are you Donald O'Connor? Are you the wacky sidekick? How do you float into this scenario?
I'm going for Clark Gable. You can pick the female.
Hey, he never did a musical.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'll go for Robert Preston in The Music Man. I can still do the soliloquy.
See?
A pool table. Don't you understand?
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah.
It's 6:43.